Good evening. My name is Nate Webb, and we look to go forth in expansion of what we've been discussing in our previous messages. What we look to is, we had briefly mentioned the possibility of the Christ who would be the individual that would fulfill the prophecy of Deuteronomy 18, commensurate to Genesis 15, and many other scriptures we had named to you. We look to develop this in such a way to understand that the truth is the ultimate objective we're attempting to reach. Because if we have no capacity to disseminate the truth to you according to that which God has put within our spirit and the words that He's placed in our mouth, then we're really not accomplishing what we would set out to do. And so what we'll be doing is going forth with some information that's very critical. These messages are not for any and everybody because they're very substantive and can be offensive to those that really are unlearned. So for those that are really not seeking God, this is not the message for you. We ask that you would not take part in it. For those that are mentally unbalanced and unstable, we ask that you would close out this from your program, that you don't take part in this because it's not for you. For those that are psychopathic and feel anger and the intent to do hurt or harm to other human beings, this is not for you. This message is for those that are genuinely seeking God and that are willing to have substantive discussion and to entertain that which they may not have entertained previously, that they may grow. It's also not really for those with paradigmatic dispositions slanted in a specific direction, because it's within that paradigmatic disposition that you might be blinded from the truth that we're going to reveal. Jesus said, "My sheep know my voice," and we don't say anything like that. We say, nobody knows anybody's voice, and we say, weigh the words, search the scriptures, and then make a determination as to whether you're hearing that which is commensurate unto God, contingent upon what's within the parameters of the scriptures that are disseminated. Anything other than that is trying to lead people down a path before they start walking. We don't look to lead you in a path before you start walking, but that you might walk with us and make a determination that that which you're walking in, which is the truth that we're going to communicate to you, is something that's substantive enough for you to continue walking with us. And as I said, we're requesting questions. And we just ask that it be constructive, which is why we're telling so many people this is something that's very substantive and it's very meaty. It's not the milk of the word, and it's not for everybody. And so if you fit into any of the categories we had previously elucidated, we recommend that you turn the program off and find something that may be better for you. Now, our thesis that we've been looking at from the commencement of this dissemination of truth has come from Genesis chapter 15. We're going to read that again, as it will be paramount in the discussion that's going to follow. So again, we're going to be going to Genesis chapter 15. We're going to be looking at verses 12 through 16. Excuse me, that's Genesis chapter 15, verses 12 through 16. And it reads as follows: When the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, an horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abram, Know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them. And they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace. Thou shalt be buried in a good old age. But in the 4th generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. This is our thematic text that we're using for many of these beginning series that we're going to be weighing. This 400 years that was mentioned, in addition to weighing that time that Israel spent in Egypt, which we've already communicated as 215 years, and that being predicated upon that which is communicated in verse 16. Now, one of the things that's imperative is we've already proven that there was no 400 years in Israel's sojourn in Egypt. And so, because God made this promise of that which would happen to Abraham, we know that there would be a time where that 400-year promise would come to pass. Now, we also previously communicated that Moses is accredited with Genesis, Exodus, and Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, which also is called the Pentateuch. And with that being the case, Moses knew that Israel had not dwelt in Egypt for 400 years because both of his grandfathers would have been able to communicate the fact to him that they were not there that long, because both of his grandfathers were alive when Israel came into Egypt. Levi on one side, who entered into the land of Egypt at about the age of 44, and Kohath on the other side, which would have been a child, and that youngest 2 years old, which was where he was. And so in looking at Levi living to 137, we had previously communicated to 93 years, which is with all probability accurate within a matter of months. those 93 years that he spent, and then Moses knew that he had actually, as vehicle of deliverance, walked in that path at the age of 80 when he spoke unto Pharaoh, and the children were delivered at that same year. And so then, because of that, we have the 80 and we have the we have the 93 years, and the 80 and the 93 equals 173. And then you have the 430, as was falsely purported according to the redaction in Exodus 12:40 through 42. And as a result of that redaction, or to expose that redaction for the alteration that it represents, we say, well, all you have to do is take the 430 from the 173 and you come up with 257. So then if they were genuinely there 430 years, Jochebed, who is the mother of Moses and the daughter of Levi, would have represented all those years. And if she was not born when Levi was on his deathbed, then realistically there's just no way that you can plausibly come up with her at a minimum age of 257 plus years old when she gave birth unto Moses. And that's the only way that you come up with 430 years, because it can't be both ways. If you believe that Jochebed was the mother of Moses, according to Exodus chapter 6 and verses 16 through 20, as we had previously communicated, as well as Numbers 26 and 59, if you believe that Jochebed and Amram were the parents of Moses, then you can't believe that they were there 430 years. You can't have it both ways.